Dravidian refers to the speakers of the Dravidian languages in South Asia. There are around 220 million native speakers of Dravidian languages. Dravidian-speaking people are mostly found in southern India and Sri Lanka, with smaller groups in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Classification. There are two definitions for Dravidian ethnicity which are generally divided between proposing that Dravidian people are an ethnic group in their own right, or Dravidian peoples are a collective group of ethno-linguistic ethnicities. The World Book Encyclopedia, Volume 10 says, most southern Indians belong to the Dravidian ethnic group, referring to them as one ethnic group, while the New Encyclopaedia Britannica, Volume 8. Volume 21 refers to Dravidian ethnic groups, suggesting the latter definition. Hence, depending on the definition and context, both Dravidian people and Dravidian peoples may be used. Etymology. The English word Dravidian was first employed by Robert Caldwell in his book of comparative Dravidian grammar based on the usage of the Sanskrit word Dravaya in the work Tantravartika by Kumari Labor to the first A. For the origin of the Sanskrit word Dravaya, various theories have been proposed. These theories concern the direction of derivation between Tamia and Dravaya. Such linguists as Velable assert that the direction is from Tamia to Dravaya. Origins. Although in modern times speakers of the various Dravidian languages have mainly occupied the southern portion of India, nothing definite is known about the ancient domain of the Dravidian parent speech. It is, however, a well-established and well-supported hypothesis that Dravidian speakers must have been widespread throughout India, including the northwest region. Origins of Dravidian people are informed by various theories proposed by linguists, anthropologists, geneticists and historians. According to geneticist Luigi Luca Cavalli-Sforza in the book The History and Geography of Human Genes, the Dravidians were preceded in the subcontinent by Austroasiatic speakers, and were followed by Indo-European speaking migrants sometime later. Some linguists hypothesize that Dravidian-speaking people were spread throughout the Indian subcontinent before a series of Indo-Aryan migrations. In this view, the early Indus Valley Civilization is often identified as having been Dravidian. Cultural and linguistic similarities have been cited by researchers such as Finnish Indologist Asko Puppila as being strong evidence for a Proto-Dravidian origin of the ancient Indus Valley Civilization. Some scholars like J. Block and M. Witzel believe that the Indo-Aryan moved into an already Dravidian-speaking area after the oldest parts of the Rig Veda were already composed. The Brahui population of Balochistan has been taken by some as the linguistic equivalent of a relict population, perhaps indicating that Dravidian languages were formerly much more widespread and were supplanted by the incoming Indo-Aryan languages. Thomason and Kaufman state that there is strong evidence that Dravidian influenced Indo-Aryan through shift, that is, native Dravidian speakers learning and adopting Indo-Aryan languages. Edozi states that the most plausible explanation for the presence of Dravidian structural features in Old Indo-Aryan is that the majority of early Old Indo-Aryan speakers had a Dravidian mother tongue which they gradually abandoned. Even though the innovative traits in Indo-Aryan languages could be explained by multiple internal explanations, early Dravidian influence is the only explanation that can account for all of the innovations at once. It becomes a question of explanatory parsimony. Moreover, early Dravidian influence accounts for several of the innovative traits in Indo-Aryan languages better than any internal explanation that has been proposed. Zvelable remarks that several scholars have demonstrated that pre-Indo-Aryan and pre-Dravidian bilingualism in India provided conditions for the far-reaching influence of Dravidian on the Indo-Aryan tongues in the spheres of phonology, syntax and vocabulary. Genetic anthropology. Genetic views on race differ in their classification of Dravidians. Classical anthropologists, such as Carlton S. Kuhn in his 1939 work The Races of Europe, argued that Ethiopia in Northeast Africa and India in South Asia represented the outermost peripheries of the Caucasoid race. In the 1960s, genetic anthropologist Stanley Marion Gahn considered the entirety of the Indian subcontinent to be a race genetically distinct from other populations. The geneticist L. L. Cavalli-Sforza of Stanford, based on work done in the 1980s, classified Indians as being genetically Caucasian. Cavalli Sforza theorized that Indians are about 3 times closer to West Europeans than to East Asians. More recently, other geneticists, such as Lynn B. Jord and Stephen P. Wooding, demonstrated that Southern Indians were most closely related to East Asians. While a number of earlier anthropologists held the view that the Dravidian people together were a distinct race, a small number of genetic studies based on uniparental markers have challenged this view. Some researchers have indicated that both Dravidian and Indo-Aryan speakers are indigenous to the Indian subcontinent. However, this point of view is rejected by many researchers in favor of Indo-Aryan migration, with racial stratification among Indian populations being distributed along caste lines. Because of admixture between Australoid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid racial groups, one cannot speak of a biologically separate Dravidian race distinct from non-Dravidians on the Indian subcontinent. In a 2009 study of 132 individuals, 560,000 single nucleotide polymorphisms in 25 different Indian groups were analyzed, providing strong evidence in support of the notion that modern Indians are a hybrid population descending from two post-Neolithic, genetically divergent populations referred to as the ancestral North Indians and the ancestral South Indians. According to the study, Andamanis are an ASI-related group without ANI ancestry, showing that the peopling of the islands must have occurred before ANI-ASI gene flow on the mainland. Language. The best-known Dravidian languages are Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, and Kannada. There are 3 subgroups within the Dravidian language family: North Dravidian, Central Dravidian, and South Dravidian, matching for the most part the corresponding regions in the Indian subcontinent. Dravidian languages are spoken by more than 200 million people. They appear to be unrelated to languages of other known families like Indo-European. Dravidian grammatical impact on the structure and syntax of Indo-Aryan languages is considered far greater than the Indo-Aryan grammatical impact on Dravidian. Some linguists explain this anomaly by arguing that Middle Indo-Aryan and New Indo-Aryan were built on a Dravidian substratum. There are also hundreds of Dravidian loanwords in Indo-Aryan languages, and vice versa. List of Dravidian peoples, see also, Dravidian languages, historical definitions of races in India, Dravidian University, South India, references. Krishnamurti, Vaidriraju. The Dravidian languages. Cambridge Language Surveys. Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. ISBN A978-0-521-77111-5 Indian Genome Variation Consortium. Genetic Landscape of the People of India, a Canvas for Disease Gene Exploration. Journal of Genetics 87, 3 doi, 10.1007 per second 12041-008, 0002x. PMIDA 18560169 Mallory, J.P. In Search of the Indo-Europeans, Language, Archaeology and Myth. London, Thames and Hudson. ISBN A978-0-500-05052-1 Thomason, Sarah Gray. Kaufman, Terence. Language Contact, Creolization, and Genetic Linguistics. Berkeley, University of California Press. ISBN A978-0-520-05789-0 Zvelebel, Kamal. Dravidian Linguistics, An Introduction. Pondicherry, Pondicherry Institute of Linguistics and Culture. ISBN A978-8185452-01-Tour, Edozi, George. The Indo-Aryans of Ancient South Asia, Language, Material Culture and Ethnicity. Berlin, De Guita. ISBN A978-3-11-014447-5 External links, Dolmans, Hero Stones and the Dravidian People, Harappa.com Glimpses of South Asia before 1947, Peoples and Languages in Pre-Islamic Indus Valley, Dravidians Organization International since 2004.